Hey everybody, this is Saul Castañeda from MCSC Green Wheels. By the way, I'm Saul, and we're here with our 93 GT that we call Staff Sergeant Reckless. And as you guys can tell, it got a little colder. Well, it's warm in here pretty much. And what we're gonna do today, man, we told you that we got pretty much everything, all the little fancy fittings that we're gonna be using. We did a video on this before. If you guys remember, we kind of explained every fitting that we got for our hydro booster. And so we're gonna be running our lines right now. So we're gonna be going from hydro booster to our rack and pinion, then from our hydro booster to our power steering, which is right here. And then we're gonna have the return to a Y over to our cooler line that we installed earlier this week, and then coming right back to our reservoir, which is gonna be set up. We still have an undecided decision of where that's gonna go. Now, it took a little bit longer for us. We started off real strong. We got everything, and then we started to do a little research. I wanted to thank Tony D Freestyle on our Instagram page, man, because he reached out to me and he explained after he watched what we were doing and he saw the video. He said, "Hey, you know what? Those lines that you guys picked up are probably not rated right for that pressure on that hydro booster." So if you got, he gave me a brief education as well too, and a refresher. He reminded me that these hydro boosters make about 1500 psi. So back to the drawing board we went, and yeah, even though we had the 6AN line, and even though it was said to be rated for power steering and whatnot, it was not rated at the pressure we needed. So we had to go ahead and dig around again, and we found a 6AN line. When we got the 6AN line, it has a different setup, and I'm going to show you guys in a little bit what I mean on that. And we ended up having to find those fittings. Tony, again, man, thank you for the information. He directed us to Earl's to get the fittings that we needed, because he also noticed that our fittings, yes, they are aluminum, and that aluminum fitting is probably going to burst under 1500 psi. So we have new PTFE fittings, 6AN fittings, and they're rated for about 2000 psi burst along with the line. And the line actually has a nylon fitting on the inside, which is different. And again, I'm going to show you guys as soon as we get started. So right now what we're going to do, I already fit one of the fittings on the line, and then we're going to measure out. We're going to go from the hydro booster to a rack and pinion. Let's get it started at this little nylon fitting. Now, as we all know, Ford loves to use these. As a matter of fact, everybody does. And these are one-time use. So once it goes on, and once you crush it, it's done. These are like, I think, Teflon O-rings. And so what I'm doing right now, I'm giving a little flexology to it, just so I can get it through my fitting over here and on the hydro booster. So if I can get it just a little bigger, I could screw it in there and fit my fitting. So this one is going to be going to the rack and pinion high side. So there's the output, and we're going to go on this. I think that's pretty wide. And what you want to do, you want to get it on there, because it's too late. Let me see if I can reach it again. Yeah, they come in pretty small. In there. And come on, bud. Let's see, it's almost there. There it is. Perfect. So I'm gonna give it a little bit, and it's gonna start to constrict and get right. It's gonna shrink up in there a little bit, get nice and tight, so I can get my fitting put on there. I'm also going to put a little bit of a Teflon lube I got on all of these. Now the setup here, this is going to be for my hydro booster. This is going all the way to my power steering, and this is to my return. So these two lines are my high pressure lines. So we're going to need the thin line that we bought for these two guys, and then we're going to go to regular 6AN with the, I think it's almost like 700 to 800 burst, which we don't need it because most of these are about 15-20 pounds psi in return. So we're going to end up hooking up with a Y, which we're still kind of figuring out what we're going to do. And this is a better to be safe than sorry setup. okay. All right, that's it. So I think this is either a 16M by 1.25 or 1.5 with a 3/8 nipple on top. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to adapt this guy right here. Alrighty. 6 AN high burst pressure line, and like I was telling you guys earlier, there's a difference in thickness. I don't know if you guys could really tell, but the more important part here is that you see that inside right there, that's rubber. So this only has it has the burst rate on this will not suffice, because I'm pretty sure that the minute we turn it on and fire it up and do everything, it's just going to spray everywhere. So the PTFE fitting, even though it's a 6NA and it's the same size as this, or as what they categorize the same number, it's thinner. So the difference here being, this is the 6NA, but this is made for that line over there, or that hose, should I say. So this doesn't have, this hose does not have the inner nylon shielding that we need that holds a high pressure. So we're going to go ahead and install this one. I told you guys I already had put this one on there. So we're going to get the measurement to our rack and pinion, which already has a fitting on there, and we're going to fit it with a new PTFE fitting 45. Bam. So we're going to get the measurement, we're going to cut it up, put it together, get it installed. So in a lot of the instructions, it says that the best thing to use on here is a 45, which is what we're doing right now. Now the top is our high output. This is what the pressure is going to be coming from, and this is going to be our return. The bottom fitting here will be going to our Y, to our cooler, to our reservoir. So we're going to fit this guy the best way we can. See how it looks and see how we can snake it through. All right. I was doing a little too much. All right, let me see. I'll come around this way, right behind the brake lines, which all of this is installed already, and I think we could pretty much fill it up. All right, so some advantages to big hands, some disadvantages in others. I'm going around this side. I'm just gonna fasten it down with my fingers. There we go. And this is just gonna give me kind of a guesstimation of where I want to cut it. So they're going about right here. Yeah, I think I'm gonna cut her right there. That's what I'm gonna do. All right. Ones we just did, we did some of these, you know, braided lines, and this is stainless steel and stuff and whatnot. It looks very pretty. But the thing about it is a pain in the butt to cut. And if you get it all messed up, it becomes all frilly and it gets all stupid. And so one of the ways I figured out by our good man, Big Ed, black tape, where you want it, I cut it down the middle, and it kind of holds the edges pretty good in place for you to get everything back together. Fortunately for this, I'll show you guys what I'm talking about, the inner shielding. This works, these fittings work a little different. These PTFE fittings work just a little different. We got this line, and so like I was telling you guys, it's a little thinner, and the reason being that the inner shielding of our other 6AN line, it's like a rubber shielding, and even though they're saying that it could take about a, you know, 700,000 pounds, 1,000 PSI, oops, I don't believe it. I don't believe it, because I know that if it's a rubber line, it's got to have the inner shielding, or the little, you know, those little hairs all over it. But I'll put a couple passes on the hairs just to make sure it keeps its. Like the one I did for the fuel line, you could put right about 2 turns, and that's good. If you do anything thicker, it makes it hard for you to get the fittings on. Fortunately for this, I just need it to stay as together as possible, because I'm still gonna open it from the inner shielding and then slide in a fitting that's gonna give it the pressure that we need to hold it in place. Just gonna give it a little snug right there with this guy right there. Awesome. And get the way I'm cutting this is with the it's with my grinder. I'm using a fast wheel, cutting wheel, and it cuts it pretty fast and very much clean. And so cover those bad boys up, and no digital abuse. Remember, coffee first and safety's like third or something. It's tough, man. It is tough. And I mean, it did hold, but you know, the good thing about it is what I was telling you guys. The inner shielding in here is like a nylon shielding, as you guys could see. Whereas on this guy, it's rubber. And even though there are 6AN lines, this one's way thinner. So we have to go ahead and get the 6AN fitting. And these guys work a little different. The other lines, like the fuel lines from Summit and stuff that you get when you got the braided ones, the fitting itself has this one does too, but the fitting itself has like the thread on it, and it kind of you have to kind of force the line as you turn it in there to keep the pressure on it. This one works a little different. So I'll show you what I mean. So first things first, this guy right here has got to get put in first. Well, first this guy, then him. On most of the other ones, the threading's on this little pipe, and the nut itself is kind of like pulling this together, you know. But this, when I did the other one, just kind of mashed it in there, and worked out pretty well for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that again. And first things first, we're gonna have to take off this tape, because like I said, it's pretty tough. It is nice and tight. I will have to go ahead and tighten up the other side a little bit more, get it all the way down. See if we can fit it through now. There it is. Get it through there. And so you could find this video on how they set these guys up on YouTube. It's PTFE power steering lines fitting, I think it is. Alrighty. Now we go with this guy, and he's got to sit flush all the way in there. You can see it's got a little border. That guy's got to sit flush, which, let me bring a little razor blade and clean that up, because I know, there we go. Just try to clean it up a bit. I'll put this guy through. As you can see, it sits all the way around. Make sure it's all the way around in there. It's touching it. You know, it won't go through because it has a little spacer where it just makes it. It's got to stop there. So just enough. Alrighty. Now, our friend here. Put it. I'm gonna kind of set it up how I want it right now. I think I have a pretty decent idea. It's gonna come around like this, because this is pretty tough, man. These lines are pretty tough, so kind of give yourself. Oh, I forgot my wrenches. I'm just gonna set him in here real quick. we just got, I'm gonna go ahead and take it in a little bit, give it a little paintology right there, see if I can tighten it up a little bit more. But other than that, they're pretty much solid and they're all the way in. Like I said, they're a little bit tough, and there's that little tool so you don't scuff them up like I did. You know, I'm just trying to finish up the car right now because eventually we're gonna do them all over again to the other one. So by then I probably should be a professional. Now let's go see how it fits. All right. Put a bit of that Teflon lube. I'll clean it, make it a little neater. Get all that off of there. All that off of there. All right. Let's see how it reacts. We're coming down through here. There. Let me swing around. Okay. That's one line. Oh yeah, man, I like that. I really, really like that. Worth the extra weight. It's got good distance away from the header, both from the clearance top and bottom and the side. We just got to make sure we hang it like so. When we get the clamp in here, the clamps and stuff, we'll make sure we put them up here real nice, because as you can see, it's not as bulky and it's got good clearance here. So I'm very excited. It looks great there. So we're gonna go ahead and keep moving on. Let's get the one to the power steering. We're gonna jump on our power steering side. So we're gonna use the power steering. And our power steering, we have this guy right here, and this is a 18M by 1.5 is the bottom with the O-ring. And so that's the line O-ring with a 3/8 nipple on top. And so we're gonna go ahead and put a little bit of grease on this and lube here, this Teflon tape juice, or what is that? Yeah, pipe threading Teflon tape paste. Put this, go right in here. That's good. So I'm gonna go ahead and set this guy in. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and fit the other line in so we can do the measurement. I cut it off, all right, I cleaned it up, but I'm gonna clean up a little bit of these hairs right here. Being that this is a stainless steel braid, it's probably gonna get marred up and destroy this thread, so I'm just gonna try and keep it nice and short. And for that, I'll bring out my little Dremel here with a diamond bit. See if I can just trim down a little bit at a time. There we go. Now, we showed you what the difference is on these PDFE fittings. They're more compressed, even though this is a 6 AN hose. It's a little thinner than the other one we had, but this is a 2000 PSI burst, so it falls into the regulations that we're going to need for our hydro booster. Alright, so I'm going to have to take these things off first. And then for those that have sensitive fingers, you know, I suggest gloves, because I'm not gonna lie, it does hurt. And then we're gonna have to get it past this guy. I may have to clean it up again, just in case I may have pulled one back too far. But that's what I'm saying. Okay, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. Looks pretty good. So far, so good. We'll see when we get, but see, this is starting to worry me right there. It's a little too far out. I may have to clean that up just a little bit, shorten it down a little bit, because again, I don't want to get it snaggled up in these threads. You can see they're pretty fine, and this is pretty much just going to go in there with this being the crushing sleeve inside. So let me peel some of this back a little bit more, just to be on the safe side. A wise man told me once, Chinese are still not making eyeballs. A little bit that's in there from when we first cut it with the cutting wheel. Now I use a cutting wheel on this. Number one, it's because it just goes faster. If you just move as fast as you can, as steady as you can, you will get a nice clean cut. You may end up burring the inside. Remember, this is a plastic, so you know you just don't want to mash through it, because eventually you'll just go on an angle either way. So just try to take it slow. It's kind of like a combination of slow and fast, steady, and just go through it. That's why I use the cutting wheel. But again, sometimes you just got to clean out the bottom of it. And you see the little stragglers that kind of hang out there. Again, we managed to get the one that goes from the Hydrobooster to the rack and pinion on pretty easily. And, you know, then I did a test run with another one and I kind of messed that up. So I just kind of want to make sure that I do this right. We don't have a whole bunch of hose left, and this is going to be the longest one. So it's going to go from our Hydro Booster to our power steering pump with 2 fittings. So we got a 180-degree fitting right here, and I think there's 120. So this is going to be set up on the power steering pump side. So we'll see right now. So far, so good. So what I'm looking for, I'm looking to see if I have any of those little hairs in there, any of the little fibers, because it's just going to slide in there. And I'm keeping the tape on it still. Let me see if I can. Looks pretty solid. Yeah, baby. Just a little bit more, I think. Now I'm actually right at the top of it. Let me give it a couple more little love taps. She's up there. As you guys can see, it's just hits it. So now this dude. Get that guy. Actually, I'm just gonna settle him back real quick. Lube never hurts. Lube never hurts. Alright. I got it down there. I think. Alright. Just need him to hold him down while I spin our buddy over and keep pressure. So far, so good. And then we went out and got our little tool here. I'm using the rag so it helps me not completely crush the line, but put some extra padding to give it some little bit extra resistance to what I need it as I bring it up to meet our friend here on top. Start off like this in my hand. So I know if I get any binding, I'm in the wrong. All right. So. Okay. See what I mean? I moved it. There we go. Alright, this guy moves around, so that's pretty good. The hydro booster side, we have to go fit it up, measure it up. We're going to come back with, and then use our cutting wheel, and then we're going to install our 120 piece. But we're going to take this with us to kind of give us a kind of an angle which way we want to go to, if we want to keep more holes or take some more off, or if we're able to reduce whatever we're going to be leaving on there. We don't really want to leave something that's grotesquely big just laying there, and we also know we're going to have to hold it up there somewhere to make it look pretty. So we don't want just lines lying around. That's why we're taking our time with doing this. Stuff is pretty hard to manipulate. We'll get it through. I'm trying not to. Oops. Wrong hole. Alright, now, let's see now. So, okay, we can't go through the front. We're gonna come around here. I don't want to hit the our sway bar here. Shout out to our buddy Lubner82 on his Instagram handle, man. You can send us those pictures of your Gen 2 Coyote with your SI95 sway bar links that we actually have to go to. Thanks a lot, brother. Really helped us out. Thanks for sharing that information. It's pretty abrasive, so if you just got, you know, if you're worried about your paint job, I wouldn't be liberally just throwing this thing around, because it's pretty hard. And as you can tell, she moves according to how she wants, so we have to manipulate in that sense. Alright. Damn it, I should have brought it through here. So this is our clutch cable, which we're also going to have to figure out what we actually want to do with it, because it sits here kind of funky. But I think I'm actually thinking of leaving a loop like this and probably coming around this way, because we're also going to have to come around that way with our reservoir line. So that's going to be a big one. It's going to come from all the way up there, back all the way over here to the cooler that we installed right here in front of our condenser. But the good thing about it is that line is actually we have plenty of, because we bought plenty of that 6 AN line, but it's only about, like, I think it's like 700 burst proof. So we initially were going to go with that, which we ended up going with this. And like I said, we couldn't get the stuff from Earl's because Summit has to order that from Australia. And we're not going to beat that horse whose fault this is. Alright, let me go top side. Let me actually send this up. The look of it. So our connector is going to be right here. So let me see, to try to keep it as uniform as I can. Let's see, I got it in my pocket. Most Coyotes that we've seen, they have the alternator here on this side. This is a Sean Highland Motorsports. We bought this aluminator, and when we got this, we got the Sean Highland Motorsport kit, which came with this bracket here that you see, and this power steering pump. And this is set up. Some of the other cars, what we found out, this tick mark right here actually is for the supercharger setup. So some cars have to change, most of the Coyotes, I guess, that don't have this supercharger have to change the timing cover. So that's why our power steering pump's on this side, in case you're wondering, guys. Alright, this is gonna be our, now I'm not gonna give it, a lot of people say, well, why don't you just go with another 180? I don't know. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to snake this line from behind the sway bar, and then we're going to come up right up to this side, giving him kind of like that look. We're also going to have a little bit of a battle when we do the AC lines, because we got all of that ready ready to rock and roll to get that done. But we figure we get it up, run, and started, and then we worry about that AC lines because we already got pretty much everything else, as you guys seen in our previous videos. This thing's pretty expensive. This line came in at about 70 bucks, almost 80 bucks. But it's what we needed. All right, and I'm being a little generous, I guess you could say. Trying to still figure out where I'm gonna go. We could probably hide it here, but I don't want to because that looks tacky. That's pretty much it, because that's the problem right now. I'm on this side of the clutch cable. I'm on the front. I gotta go behind it, and then we'll be able to come through here, kind of cut it a little bit more. It's still not touching the header on this side, so that's great. The one to the rack and pinion is a little close, but we can work with that because we still got some slack on top. All right, and then yeah. So what we'll do, all right, we'll go with that right now. I think I like this little look because we're also going to bring our cooler one that's going to come from here. I think we're just going to whip it around through the back side of this guy and come right through here and follow them to keep them in unison. And then that one's going to go shoot up that way. It's going to split off to that side. So this guy, we're going to bring up about that much. I can also that's pretty tough. Let's do one at a time. Kind of like this. We can rock it back that way. So now. I think I'm going to go right there. So actually it's going to be cut up here because it's going to be short because the connection's up there. I like that better. I like this a whole lot better. So alright, now to take it out. We got a reserve. And this came like that, so I'm just gonna go a little bit to the top so we don't get pricked. Alright. And that's it. The end right here. So I'm gonna have to wear them down a little bit because I know when it starts to do this, you know, these guys are gonna get in the threading up here, and I don't want to damage it. This is stainless steel, so it's pretty tough. I need that exposure. Taparoo! See which one is gonna give me the most trouble here. Okay, back to device. Seems I'm not gonna lie, this thing is pretty snug, man. It's either like really nice and set up for this, because wherever you leave it, it stops. How about this way? Got it to where it should be. So So I taped this side up so it wouldn't get all scratched up. That's the same thing I'm going to do to the whole thing. So it makes it an easy transition for me to get through it. You know what, man? Doing this thing, just when you do your own hoses, get some, I use, like I said, the cutting wheel. If you find something better and you guys know a better way to cut this, I'd like to know, man. Let me know. Other than that, get the little tools. The little holder, I think, I would imagine would do just wonders on it. So it would just make this so much simpler. It worked out this way, but definitely could have done it a little easier with the little holder. So what I would say, spend the extra $60-50 that it's going to cost you. I think this was $17.91, and I seen the holder for about $41. So, like I said, spend the extra $50-60, and obviously now that you guys don't have to do half the work that we did of buying all the pieces just to figure out what the hell it is that we needed, or as far as saying this is an 8AN, or this is a 6AN, or a PDFE fitting to a PSI fitting, aluminum, stainless steel. So pretty much on our last video that we did, when we caught you up on every piece, we kind of put everything on there as far as the fittings that we're using. Because we're going back to paint anyways. But if you're doing this and this thing's been painted, I would suggest for you guys to go ahead and cover these lines up with something, or put something soft on there, or something that it may not rub. We really, at this moment, because we've seen a lot of blemishes on the paint anyways that shouldn't have been, because the car hasn't been on the road, and installing the Hydro Booster the first time kind of left some scratches down here. We're just going to let John do the work down here. But I would suggest for anybody else that does not want to do that and is not going to do that, dude, cover it up. If you got your paint, cover it up, because this stuff is pretty abrasive and it will scratch everything off. And right now she's fighting me. So now I'm gonna shoot behind that guy. Alright, just gotta tighten that up. Right. So we're gonna go around this guy. We're gonna come around like so. You're gonna be right there. Hey bud, I think we're in. Oh. I was wrong. Now we're in. Alright. Our pressure line is in. There we go. That we get the little bracket that goes here. Like that. And we can hide this line and our return line, which is going to come up on this side. Which we can start making that right now. 6AN hose, but it's the lower PSI burst. It doesn't have that compression fitting that sits in here in the middle, like you see right here. We just gotta make sure that we set this guy into the line, and then we gotta pressure this guy into it. So it's a little bit of both, but we'll get it done, because that's all we need. We need this guy to come in here. It's not going to be a lot of pressure, and he's going to be shooting down again from this angle. He's going to come around down there. We're going to shoot him out through here. I still haven't decided exactly where. And our Y set up, so it's going to go from our Hydro Booster to our Y connection right here, and then from our Y connection, it's going to go into our cooler line that we got sitting right there. It kind of swings around the front over here. You'll see it kind of curve around here. It'll go right back here, and then it comes back out again to the front, and the bottom side of that is going to be heading over to our power steering reservoir. And then, of course, the power steering reservoir right over to our power steering pump. So right now, let's see if we can figure these guys out and get these done. When it's cut, you just gotta make sure it's pretty clean. So this is already done by the factory, and like I was saying before, with the difference of the 6AN hoses that we got, this is a rubber inside, where the other one had a nylon liner, and it's good for nitrous. So it has a burst rate, I think, of about 2,000. Yeah, it's at about 2,000. This only has a burst rate of about 700, 800. So it's going to be good for our return lines because it doesn't take a lot of pressure. It's just returning and moving around, going through our oil cooler, back to our reservoir, and coming back on the return from our pump, our rack and pinion, and our hydro booster. So these are pretty easy to install. Like I said, just kind of, you know, that the factory had this. Like I was saying, they have masking tape. I have blue tape. I have, I found out that electrical tape works pretty easy for me. It's slick and whatnot, but I'm not even gonna try to take this off. I'm just gonna wrestle this one in there with the tape on there, and if it comes off, it comes off. Just gotta make sure you keep it down, because it tends to pull it. And that's the difference between the PDFE fitting and this standard high pressure aluminum fitting that we got. And it's high pressure, but it's just 800 pounds, 800 psi of pressure. It's kind of something we don't need. We need it higher. As I was learned that these things can produce about 1,500 psi of power, so of pressure, should I say. Get all the way down, I guess. The fitting test. Let's go do this, guys. Alright, we're going to measure him out, and we're going to go straight into one of our straight angles here, one of our straight connectors. And we're going to make one for this guy, which is going to be going to our cooler line, hydro booster. Oh, we're not going to need that one. These are PDFs, one of these. It's a little thicker. I can feel it already. It's definitely a little thicker, so I think I'm going to go on the outside instead of following what I got in here, if you guys can get in down here, my friend. So what I got in here, so I got, this is our power steering, this is our rack and pinion. So I got these two guys, and as you guys can tell, this guy's a little thicker for a 6 AN line. Same number, just that this is a PDFE line, so it stands for, it's a higher pressure line, and it's an internal nylon setting, where this is a rubber. So this is a little thicker, so what I'm going to go ahead and do, I think I'm going to come around to the front of this guy. So I'm going to come through here, and I'm going to go to the bottom. So I think that's going to be the best route to do. And let me see here. Go already to the bottom. Comes a little freer, but it kind of matches our fuel line that we got going on over here. Now here comes the easy part. There we go. And that's, I'm guessing what our setup's gonna really look like, guys. Be very careful how you run it. I don't want it scratching up our sway bar, but then again our sway bar has been powder coated, so I shouldn't have to worry about anything. And I think that this is gonna be good for me because I'm gonna go into a straightaway right here and then keep this guy kind of at a loop. So I'm thinking that from here, just go through here. But since it's a little tough, man, you're gonna, you can't bend that much. So I might have to give this a circle and then up. You know what I mean? So, or actually it's just gonna come down and circle in here. So I wanna give it enough slack so it's pushing up and give it its own pressure. And then I think if I go like right around here, I will be able to get that. At the same time, I was thinking further back here because it gives me a straight shot to my rack and pinion. But I'll fix that up because at least I have different options to go with that. So I think I'm gonna go right there. Right around there, I think I'm gonna do that. Let me get this guy out. Cutting it right there. All right, let me fish it back out. All right, guys, what you didn't see, no, I'm just playing. I'm gonna start this guy off already. So this is gonna be going to my oil cooler, to the power steering oil cooler line, which we showed you goes right behind my, it's going to be going right behind the, what you call, condenser. Damn it. Brain farting all day. Alright. Let me get this guy closer in. Way to actually get a real good cut, I just layer that tape, and then I take off a little bit at a time. If I have to take all of it off, at least it's not as frayed. So if you layer that up pretty decently and cut it, it leaves you kind of the same real clean cut that it comes with, kind of like that. But if you notice, they put a real big layer of tape. So I just kind of did the same using the electrical tape, and it worked just pretty good. It actually went in right. So I was able to peel back on it to get it down to a layer, or this one I just used a little bit of a layer and one single turn and cut it off, and it went in just right. It's all the way at the bottom. So now I'm just going to retract and make sure I get this bad boy all the way in. Let's see here. What it's going to look like. I think that I'm not going to guess. I'm going to go over there. I'm going to take a pretty good measurement. I want to keep this nice, tight, and concise. So the only other hose that we'll have to do will be our reservoir hose going to our rack and pinion. Right now I have, this will be going to our Hydrobooster reservoir side, and it's going to be meeting up right there like that. Going all the way up with the 180 on top. So let's go install this, and we got one more cut to do, 2 more cuts, 3 more cuts. All right, let's just keep going. This is going to be our reservoir line. We're going to go on top of this side. Teflon grease on here because I'm going to come back to it. We're just doing a lot of cut and fitting right now. Perfect. I kind of want it be like this. It's gonna be pretty tight, so I may have to I'll probably cut it like right around there. Alright, I'll cut it there and we'll set it up. And then this guy will come off, we'll leave up, and then we'll got one line to go. One line to go. There we go. We'll make it work. Well, like I said, I gave it a couple turns, man. I thickened it up, and it made it pretty good for it to cut. It held everything together pretty tight. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the same, and then you can back off of it, because you know, it's gonna be too thick and the fitting won't go through it. But at least you can back off of it, and either it's gonna stay pretty minimally, and then you can add another layer, or you could just peel off and keep it low. But yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. Thin layer on there. This side is going to take one of these dudes.
Is that a 6 inch?
This is a 6AN hose clamp fitting. Yeah, it'll work. There we go. There it is. It's all the way through. Alright, well, since I'm here, I'm going to install the straight angle that we're going to go into our, it's going to be going into the racking pinion. See, I'm here, it keeps it pretty clean. It's not too bad. I'm gonna shave off a little bit right there, but it's not horrible, you know, like I've been. Use the socket. Almost to the top. To the top. And then we'll have 2 lines to make, but I think we're gonna have to do some signs on that. So for today, it'll be on the end of that. So let's go see what we can do with this guy. Come on. Let me get some lube. It's a good idea. Well, I'm kind of already in. I don't know if I cross this guy, because see, if I get it right here, I think I'm good. I think that's pretty good, right? Right. It's probably gonna go there. Now I'm thinking, so we can go with a straight fitting to this person right here, to this fitting right here. or I go from in here. That's kind of tight. See if I put it there. I kind of want to set it up so it's all smooth and we're not binded up. So if I go, thinking that, and then I could come this way and then go in. I could, no, see, because this will turn it too much. I think this will turn it this way. I kind of don't want it on there, but if I do this, it's gonna come around this side and really bind up against here. I do like how it looks here, but I mean, once I cut it, and now we're gonna cut right there. All right, let's go make this cut. I'm trying to see if I can push that in further too. All right. Let's do this. Just making sure I got the right thing. Bam. Set all the way down. Perfect. Alright. Into the sling. Alright. Now we get to install this one, and then we get to try out that extra hose that we got to see if it works on our power steering reservoir and power steering pump return. So let's get back to the garage. And there. And now you're on there. Now this guy will be able to figure him out because we got to get that little brace that's gonna kind of tuck him away up here like that. I can put like a clamp holder right here or something, and he'll be done. This is actually very happy with how it looks. These are all just hand tight right now. And man, check it out. I think we're in the money, sir. Alright. Nice and perfect. Get this guy. Perfect. There we go. We got our reservoir line in for our antifreeze. That's where it's gonna go. Fill that bad boy up, and we'll have antifreeze. That looks pretty fucking kick-ass to me. Boom. All right, guys. Now we're here almost at the finishing stages of our power steering hydro booster rack and pinion 6AN, 8AN, 10AN, 12AN lines here. It's been a real big nightmare, much like going through the process of figuring out everything for our AC system, which shortly will come. Give me a minute, because I just want to get the engine to go. AC is not that important right now. It's cold. Right now we're at the end stage of this. So what we got kind of stuck on, we got kind of stuck on the reservoir that's coming back this way because our power steering pump is right here. I'm pretty sure I explained that our power steering pump is on this side because when we've got this aluminator engine, this was the Sean Highland Motorsports setup, no longer in business. And the other side, the other kind of cars that we see the alternators over here on this side. Our alternators happens to be on the driver's side towards the bottom over there. And we're going to leave it there. We're going to run it like this because also we have this, the AC compressor and the power steering are kind of feeding together. Now you guys saw our video when we installed our AC compressor here along with our manifold setup. And we had to do a little bit of moving around and maneuvering and massaging along with our battery tray that we're going to be installing on this side. So for right now, picking up to the master cylinder, to our power steering line, what we're going to do, we're going to come in here and we're just kind of measuring up. Just keep something on the screen. Let's see. Things that we had going on, like I showed you, we had the 3/8 barb fitting on our Mishimoto power steering reservoir here. We're going to be mounting that on the side, on the driver's side, like the skirt of the fender. You'll see when I get it up there. And one of the problems was that the cooler line on the far end, on the front of the passenger car, has a 6AN hose. Now, there's two differences in the hoses that we had talked earlier, 6AN, and there's a 6AN with PDFE fittings. Those PDFE fittings 6AN are a little bit thinner than your regular 6AN hose. So, and the burst rate on this hose is about 700, 800. So the other PDF 6AN hose is a 2000 burst. So remember, guys, when you go out and buy this, it's a little bit more expensive because it's actually got a white nylon internal sleeve. It keeps a lot more pressure. So we're going to be using this one for our reservoir here for our power steering from our Hydrobooster, and this side is going to be going over to our cooler side. And so this is a Mishimoto power steering reservoir that we got. It's nice, it's chrome. And what happened, what we had, check it out, that's the top. We had the barb fitting on here, and then we had to go make a couple calls because we got an idea. We're like, why can't we put the 6AN, which is the 3/8 fitting, coming out of the side here? And so we did a couple calls. Mishimoto gave us a call back and let us know what size this were. And we want to thank the guys over at Finish Line Factory. Hey JJ, thanks a lot, brother. Thanks for the inspection. You guys did a really good job, man. They sent us our fittings that we needed. And those fittings are actually a metric, as what is explained here. AN, adapter male flare fitting, straight 6AN with M12 1.0 thread pitch. So it'll look something like this. It's really cool because it's going to help us keep the motif that we got going on. So we'll be able to put, even though it's not high pressure, this is what I have left of the hose I think 10 foot of this that we got. So this is going to be running back to our cooler line, and our cooler line, the good part about it was it's that thin. So it's going to really help out. That was the big problem with the fittings that we had up here, which were our 3/8 fittings, which would have meant that I would probably have to have ran a line this thick all the way to my cooler line, and I would have been in trouble trying to figure out or scramble whatever I had to do there. You guys will see what I end up doing here in just a minute. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to add my port here to this side. I'm going to get some Teflon grease. I'm just going to go ahead and slather that on there. I think for both of these, we got two little pieces here. We're about 15 bucks. Am I correct? I think so. Yeah. But yeah, so this is just gonna slide right up in here, and we don't want anything leaking, so we're just being precautious. That we're just gonna go ahead and just be liberal with this. There we go, buddy. Nice and smooth. Fancy dancy tool here. There it is. Nice and snug. I'm going to go ahead and use the regular 3/8 barb on this side because we're going to be doing a little trickery with this. Now, as I showed you on our power steering pump, that reservoir line that's coming out the return is a little bit thicker. It's 3/8, but it's got a little bit of a bead on top of it. So what I'm going to do, this line's a little thick inside here. It's meant for a higher burst rate, and I'm just gonna thin out, I'm gonna say about that much inside the line, the rubber line, till I get it into the sleeve where I can compress the clamp on there, and it stays. Again, just keeping the motif, just keeping the look, that's all I'm trying to do. So that's what I'm gonna go ahead and do. I'm gonna give it a quick test run because I still have to cut this line. This is gonna be way too long for what I'm gonna use, but I'm gonna give it a test run. If I can carve out a little bit, just about a little butt hair out of here, and I can fit it, we'll do a test fit on the power steering pump. If it works out, then that'll be good. If it doesn't, well, we're gonna have to sit down and think, see what we're gonna do. So this is a Mishimoto power steering reservoir that we got. It's nice, it's chrome, and what happened, what we had, check it out, that's the top. We had the barb fitting on here, and then we had to go make a couple calls because we got an idea. We're like, why can't we put the 6AN, which is the 3/8 fitting, coming out of the side here? And so we did a couple calls. Mishimoto gave us a call back and let us know what size this were. And we want to thank the guys over at Finish Line Factory. Hey JJ, thanks a lot, brother. Thanks for the inspection. You guys did a really good job, man. They sent us our fittings that we needed. And those fittings are actually a metric, as what is explained here. AN, adapter male flare fitting, straight 6AN with M12 1.0 thread pitch. So it'll look something like this. It's really cool because it's going to help us keep the motif that we got going on. So we'll be able to put, even though it's not high pressure, this is what I have left of the hose that I think 10 foot of this that we got. So this is going to be running back to our cooler line, and our cooler line, the good part about it was it's that thin. So it's going to really help out. That was the big problem with the fittings that we had up here, which were our 3/8 fittings, which would have meant that I would probably have to have ran a line this thick all the way to my cooler line, and I would have been in trouble trying to figure out or scramble whatever I had to do there. You guys will see what I end up doing here in just a minute. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to add my port here to this side. I'm going to get some Teflon grease. I'm just going to go ahead and slather that on there. I think for both of these, we got two little pieces here. We're about 15 bucks. Am I correct? I think so. Yeah. But yeah, so this is just gonna slide right up in here, and we don't want anything leaking, so we're just being precautious. That we're just gonna go ahead and just be liberal with this. There we go, buddy. Nice and smooth. Fancy dancy tool here. There it is. Nice and snug. I'm gonna go ahead and use the regular 3/8 barb on this side because we're gonna be doing a little trickery with this. Now, as I showed you on our power steering pump, that reservoir line that's coming out the return is a little bit thicker. It's 3/8, but it's got a little bit of a bead on top of it. So what I'm gonna do, this line's a little thick inside here. It's meant for a higher burst rate, and I'm just gonna thin out, I'm gonna say about that much inside the line, the rubber line, till I get it into the sleeve where I can compress the clamp on there, and it stays. Again, just keeping the motif, just keeping the look, that's all I'm trying to do. So that's what I'm gonna go ahead and do. I'm gonna give it a quick test run because I still have to cut this line. This is gonna be way too long for what I'm gonna use, but I'm gonna give it a test run. If I can carve out a little bit, just about a little butt hair out of here, and I can fit it, we'll do a test fit on the power steering pump. If it works out, then that'll be good. If it doesn't, well, we're gonna have to sit down and think, see what we're gonna do. This is what I mean, guys. As you didn't see me put it on, but as I'm showing you, yeah, this is what I mean. This is what that 3/8 barb looks like, and I'm just gonna go ahead and do this to it. My problem is that on the power steering pump, it's too wide, so I could, again, let's see if we can carve off enough out of this and make it work. I'm reinstalling our Mishimoto power steering reservoir, and we had to get a couple fittings that we needed for it, so we have to look around for them for a little bit, and you know, but we found them. We were thinking about changing off both of the fittings that are at the bottom there, you can see. So we had originally this fitting on the other side as well, and now this is a 3/8 fitting with a M12 by 1 threading in the back. The reason I'm telling you that is because we had a hell of a time looking around for it, and then, you know, us here at MCSC, we get crazy ideas, and we're just like, well, what the hell, we'll just make it and whatnot. The problem was that our hose to our cooler line, which this guy's gonna run over to the cooler line all the way down the other side by the passenger, I mean by the driver's side, that entrance over there is very, very tiny in consideration to this one. And the other hose that we need. This is our 6AN hose. We are gonna go ahead and use this 6AN. Let's go ahead and measure this out real quick, because I think I have enough from the leftover. Let's see. Let's fish this dude down. And there he is all the way over there in front. So I think we're going to be in use of a 90 here, I think. Just to, it just stays away from the manifold, from our header right here, and it goes right around our AC compressor. So I think if I drop a 90 right down here, which you'll go ahead and see, check that out. I don't want it hanging out way too far out there. Maybe we'll need like a $1.20 so it comes back in here, because this is it's kind of hanging out there. I want to keep it as far away from the header as I can. So let's get something else. See if I can have something a little bit more sharp. It's just a little shorter. It's got a sharper turn to it. So this will work out for us. I couldn't find the 120. That's my problem. Yeah, I could live with that. It's all right. I could dig that. So let me go underneath. Let's see here. I think I'm gonna try and get it a little bit tighter to the frame. Just kind of hang it down. So hold on. I'm on the opposite side of the sway bar. Now we got some little clamps that are gonna go on here, and then we're just gonna tie it into these 2 bolts right here, one on each side. So it's gonna be kind of tucked away like that. That's what the end result should be. That's what we're shooting for here, guys. So at least that's what I'm shooting for. Kind of make it look like this. So, or vice versa, whatever. Let's see. So they're right this way. And you don't want this thing just rubbing on everything, man, because it's pretty abrasive and it will wipe off a little bit. It will rip out some paint. So be gentle as you run around this. If you have a freshly painted car, or if you just painted it and decided to do this at the end. Alright, straighten this thing out. And I think like I called it, I think we're gonna end up using the whole thing. Maybe a little bit, you know. So I want to keep it tight so I'm not sloppily everywhere. So, all right. So we're gonna have to go ahead and put that first fitting on top, and then come back and remeasure. So if we have to cut, we'll have to cut. Let's do that. This is our power steering pump, and like I've explained before, this was a Sean Highland setup that we got when we first got this aluminator, and so this is what we got. So we're making it work. And let me see if I could tell. So this hose right here was giving us a little bit of a problem. We were trying to figure out what size it was, if it was half, it was 5/8, whatever the heck it was. It ended up being we're using a 10 AN line here. I had to open up the inside just a little bit. As you guys see, I cut back a little bit further on the braid. Now the braids, I'll show you what I'm gonna do with it a little later. But the reason I did that is because I want the clamp that we're gonna end up using here just to really get a good hold on the rubber. And right now, what I'm gonna do, I think I got it in far enough. Let's see if I can finesse it in there a little bit more. If I can, then I'll take it. That looks solid. And I know everybody's saying, like, oh my God, these are so high pressure. You know, yeah, I know they're like about 70 or maybe 100 or maybe 500. But you know what? Whatever. We'll overkill whatever. what I'm gonna do right here, kind of want it nice and tight in here, so I'm gonna eyeball it to right here. All right, let's go clean this one up, because at the same time, these are the fittings that we're gonna use. This fitting right here, the mouth of this is a little too tight, so I'm gonna go ahead and open it up just about, you know, a little bit, just take a little bit of layer, just so it can go in right. And it also gives the hose a little bit of flexibility to open as we push it in together. So let's go ahead. Pretty cool, huh? So I took, we got some clamps that are going to be going over this to hold the hoses together to make it look like nice and neater. And they're a little too big and they dance around, so what I did, I found this old air hose that I had laying around that would burst it open. I just cut little strips of it. All I'm going to do is just to give it a little bit of a cushion so the clamp holds on it real nice. It's just going to do that to it. Probably go on the inside like that, so this clamp hits down and holds it together. It'll be nice and snug. So I just did that on the side. Let's get started. What should I do first? Let's see. First things first, let's see if we can open up these fittings a little bit. My cut line, and the reason I do this again is so I don't fray the shielding, the outside wire mesh, stainless steel, 15 karat gold stuff we're using. Alright, I'm going to use a little bit just so I can keep it intact. I know that I'm going to have to cut right in the middle of that. That's good. I'm gonna kick back. I'm gonna go around just on the outside of the stainless steel sleeving, just so I can expose the rubber. So when I do set in my clamp here, and it goes in with this guy, it actually sits on rubber and not the stainless steel sheeting. I don't want to get this on there and then it starts pissing out oil and stuff. At least I know the rubber's on there. It's making contact. If it's leaking out, it's going to be something else. It won't be because it's a faulty connection. And not only that, speaking from experience, when I've used these before around that shielding, a lot of times they don't get as tight, and then you'll crank down on it, and these little guys, they break. Now, they're not the greatest, and we plan on upgrading, but right now we're doing do. And this will do. So, at least it's not like, hose clamps on everything. Okay, I have a little bit to cut here. No problem. Just like that. So the reason I want to do this is because, like I said, I want to give my clamp at least a fighting chance to hold on. Now granted, it's not like a ridiculous amount of pressure, but then again, you guys seen the underneath of that car. I don't want to be slopping power steering all over the place there, so my whole objective is to do that. So it'll probably hold right there. And maybe I should go back a little further. Yeah, I'm actually liking that better if I go back a little further. Yeah, see? That's all the way through. It's the front. And it'll sit right there. Let's go a little test run real quick. Bam. It's gonna be perfect. This hole just a little bit bigger on our clamp because it's a reduced size right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that to both of them. There we go. I'm going to lock them in the vise. This is a, doesn't matter. So old. It's probably one of those sockets my dad stole from me and put his name on it. Alrighty. I got our dude right here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to lock him in place so I can double this up. what I'm doing, kind of pushing at the same time as I turn, because if not, what it does, it pulls this nut, it pulls it out. So I don't want it to do that, but we're getting to that position. We're gonna have to bring in our friend. Right here, right there. Yeah, buddy. Let's see. I think I got that guy. Yeah, perfect. All right. There we go. Nice. Haha. So what we're gonna do? We're gonna go ahead and install our 5/8, which is our 10 AN. And our 6 AN, that's going to be running to our cooler side. Check it out. This I just taped this side up, cut it before, as you guys can see. So I got both sides. Cool. So now, like I said, one of the issues that we were having were these hoses. Now, I know everybody's telling us, man, you guys are doing overkill. You know, your engine's overkill. These braided hoses are overkill. And you know what? You're probably right. You're probably right. This is probably all overkill. You know, you can do overkill, or you can just slap a hose on here and call it a day. I don't care. For me, I'd rather make it look pretty. Okay, that one ain't gonna work there. Let's see if this one's a good job here. Nope. Gonna have to open this up just a little bit more. So I'll do it. This will work just fine. There we go. Now, so 2 pieces of heat shrink here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and take this side off too. Slide this thing down. Okay. So put those there. Oh, yeah, see? Let me see. Alright. Looks like it's going to work out for us. But I'm going to go ahead and get my heat shrink so it squeezes down on the mesh. Gets it down there good. What I'm going to do, I'm going to get it right on there. Like that. Spin it around. Perfectly. There we go. There's that. About to see what we need to cut. I need the marker. There we go. There you go. straight drop down. Alright, let's see. I think I'm gonna want it to come around this side. It's a little far. Maybe we could go like this. Tighten it up a bit from both angles. Bring those up like that. We could do this, you know, or I don't think I have enough room to go around this guy. Let's see. I do. You know what? Let me see if I bring it up through here around our oil filter. Yeah. Actually, that'll probably be the... See, I don't like it because it's really, really taut coming up in here, like so. It's really tight there, so I think I'm gonna bring it around through this side. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna catch him up. I'm gonna sit him up here like so. And I'm gonna bring our friend right through here. And to be honest with you, I mean, with the slack that we got right now, I think it'll work out perfectly if I just left the whole thing. Alright, just a little bit. Spread them out just a little bit. Alright, let's see. What it's gonna do, it's gonna make it even harder for me to get this thing. There it is. What I'm gonna do, okay, there it is. Happen here. Right? Got a little Allen key fitting right here in the middle. So what I'm gonna try and do, I'm gonna make these at least look somewhat cool and right, and try and fit them in here. As you guys can tell, it's a problem. Beautiful. Looking good. Looking good. And like I said, we're going to go ahead and get these caught up in here. Kind of like so. Kind of like this. We're going to do that to them. But we got a little clip that we're going to get for them. For right now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and drop a little union here and here. Here or?
Yeah.
All right. across is funny, but it's because I got it, you know. Yeah, we'll put one right here. Should be okay. Give us a little bit more. We're gonna go like right around here. Spin it around like that. Perfect. That's them. Probably bring them from here like that. That looks pretty cool. All right. And then I did one that was holding our power steering, which is right up here. I wasn't too thrilled with it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and remove it and reinstall it. Now these two lines here, these two lines right here are one is to our power steering line, and then the other one's to our rack and pinion, vice versa. But these are the two lines that are 6 AM and they're a little thinner. That's why the clamp kind of dances around and kind of gave me the idea of putting on that little bushing that I did. But it's going to be a little bit tougher because this is going to go in between the manifold, I keep saying manifold, in between the header and the line. So let's see if we can get this done. So my objective here is to get these three lines kind of together. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get these two guys right here and then these two guys right here. So they're, I'm going to give it like a triple action right here. So let's see if we can get that done. Now, everything's running a little bit slower because, as you guys can tell, it's cold in here. And my hands are now reached to that point where they're done. They're done being cold. But it's okay. Glory is among us. Let's see. Alright. See how this works. Perfect. Big hands, little things. Story of my life. I think I'm gonna have to get it from down there, or maybe not. There it is. As you guys saw, man, we just went ahead and we finished up these power steering pressure lines that we started off from our Hydrobooster that we got from 96 to 98 Cobra. And this Hydrobooster had the little tree that we call it's got some these fittings right here, and it's a tree that came out of. So a couple of things that we ran into that we had to go through, we had to find these fittings right here, which are male fittings Those are M16s by 1.5, and that's the bottom, and that's a pressure male fitting with an O-ring at the bottom that comes up to a 3/8 nipple, which is a 6AN, and it looks kind of like this. So the bottom part goes into the hydro booster, and this comes out to our fitting that we have. So we got two of these. One of it goes to our high side, to our power steering, and that's the pump. And this one goes to our return side, which is going to our cooler line right behind the radiator, or should I say in front. Then we went and got a female M16 by 1.5 with a 3/8 nipple or a 6AN, because on this side it had a male. So we went the opposite direction. So as you guys can see, the black fitting right here is the one I just mentioned. And of course, everything on top, we had to use two sets of different fittings. These two fittings right here, even though they are 6AN hose fittings, these are PDFE fittings, which are high pressure, up to 2,000 PSI for burst. This hose right here, which is our return hose, again, it's a 6AN hose, but this is a lower pressure hose. It's rated at about 1,000, maybe 800. So even though it's overkill, we went ahead and used it. Now, we were on Summit looking around for these fittings in the stainless steel, but we couldn't find them. Everything's backed up. Let's go buy them. And they suggested do the aluminum, which we already had gotten, but we went to PDFE. So we have 180-degree PDFEs. We have 3 of those right here. And then all of it, there's our power steering, there's our rack and pinion, and that's our return. So what we ended up doing, like I showed you, we just went ahead and got our 2 fittings, one for the power steering pump, one for the return, and then we got our female fitting for our rack and pinion. We ran our 2 pressure lines first to the rack and pinion, which they come right through here. They come right from behind our hydro booster or our master cylinder, and they come right down to the bottom here. We got one really quick to our rack and pinion, which is right here. There's our pressure line, and we ended up buying these fittings that go on our rack and pinion as well too. We had a kit from Maximum Motorsports that was about 60 bucks, but we found them online. We'll put the numbers down on the page. This is the return line going over to our cooler line, as you guys can see. So this is our power steering line running all the way across. And then we have our cooler line right here. We came around here, and we got a Y, because we're going to need the Y. Alright, this is the Y to the rack and pinion, and it goes straight to our cooler. And this other line right over here, runs into our hydro booster, and that's the return line. Once it comes out of here, it swings all the way back around and heads over to where we have our reservoir. To complete this whole process, this is our Mishimoto power steering reservoir. Now what we had 2 3/8 barbs put on here, and we went ahead and changed it. Guys, the inside thread on this is a M12 by 1.00 to a 3/8 nipple, which is a 6AN, and it's the same thing we did. We added our aluminum 190-degree 6AN, and this is the regular 6AN, so this is the burst rate of about 800 to 1,000. We left our 3/8 barb nipple, and then we put on a 10AN hose, which is a 5/8 with our fancy clamps here, and then we brought it down to our power steering pump. When we were talking about our reservoir, our power steering pressure line coming off our hydro booster goes right here, right through the back of it, and all the way to the front. Guys, it was quite a bit of a challenge, and you know what, man, we have a bucket of parts that we had to go ahead and buy. Again, we're doing this so we show you guys, like, you don't have to go through what we did. We went through an expensive cash, and these videos take some time because you got to wait for parts to come in and come out. And not only that, you go to these manufacturers, you go to the people that make the stuff, and they don't put down the exact description of what you need. So half the time you're kind of like scrambling around trying to figure out what bolt size, what thread pitch, and what not. You know what I mean? What PSI, what size bolt, is it standard, is it metric, whatever the hell it is. So we're gonna, you know what we did? We just simplified that. So we're going ahead and put down most of these numbers as we did at the beginning of the video, and we have another video that we showed you when we got all the parts. Go ahead and check that one out. We'll go ahead and put it up so you guys can check that one out too. I want to thank everybody on our Facebook page. Guys, go on over there. Check out to see if you see a Foxbody you like. possibly buy one. We post every kind, from basically giving away free to the big dogs, the 50s, the 60,000s. Mind you guys, buyer beware. These are not our cars. We're just helping the community sell cars, which we have. I think we're about 300 cars sold. We don't make money off of this. We just connect people. Go ahead and get your Foxbody. Want to go over to our Instagram page? Go ahead, check out some pictures, and then it'll send you back to our YouTube channel. Give us some likes, give us some comments. You know, that will always be highly appreciated. Go to our Instagram page at mcnc.greenwheels on Instagram. Most importantly, I want to thank everybody here on our YouTube page. Thank you to everyone that reached out and gave us information based on these lines, based on what they use. We got some pictures, very awesome. That's what we shoot for. We shoot for everybody in the community to share this kind of information so we don't have to go through the headaches that we went through. I want to thank everybody. Go ahead, if you guys see that I did something wrong, leave us a comment. Most importantly, drop us a like. But even more important over that, don't forget to subscribe, guys. One of the things that I want to mention, and it's a fun little fact, going around and figuring out what 6 AN and 8 AN and 10 AN means. Do you know what AN means? Well, I took the little liberty to go ahead and find out. AN actually means Army Navy, because those were the first two people to actually bring up the sizes that we're using. I think it's a World War II term. But guys, it's about 11:30 at night on a very cold Thursday night. We will see you soon as we try to finish up our Foxbody Staff Sergeant Reckless. Good night, guys.